Hey guys, we got a new feature from Lowrance here we want to take a look at today called Dock AutoRouting. Basically what it'll allow you to do is just put in a start point and an end point, and it'll calculate the route based on the parameters you've entered, like the boat draft, height, width, and length. So let's take a look at this feature and see how useful it'll be for you. To use this feature, you do have to have a GPS fix. So if you're just using it, playing around with it in the house, what you want to do is just turn your simulator on. So just make sure that's turned on. Okay, so to show you what routes are, I'm just going to zoom out on the map here just so you can see. We can go to new route. Basically, we enter in a start point and an end point, and that's your route, okay? So if you want it to go here to here, it's just going to take you over land. What you would have to actually do is move these points down and, you know, just continue to build your route into safe water to get you up there. So that's how a traditional route works. The auto route, what it'll allow you to do is just put in the start point and end point and create the route for you. So it's much less time consuming. So I'll show you how to do that. So we'll go to new route. And again, just like before, put in start point and end point. This time we're going to go to Dock AutoRouting, select the entire route. Now you're going to get this message here because we haven't set up the boat, and I wanted to do it this way just to show you that it will prevent you from doing this if you haven't set up the boat settings in the unit. And I'll show you where to go later if you want to do that first. So just hit OK. It brings us to the menu we need. So you can just enter in your boat length and then your draft. This is probably the most important one. So I'll do at 5 feet to start. Boat width. And then the boat height. And this is for bridges or power cables, anything like that. So we'll select entire route, and then we'll get this dialog here. Okay, so that took well over a minute to calculate that route, and it was successful, so we'll hit OK. And then you can see the route it's planned out for you in safe water. Now, a few things about this. You'll notice here there's a legend on the side. So it'll just show you, you know, safe, danger, caution water, that type of stuff based on the info you have in the chart. The other thing with Navionics, what it always does is tries to get you to the preferred routes, which are on the chart. So if you see here, coming out of this marina, this pink dotted line, that's a preferred route. There's also one coming up here, and it takes us around the marker and tries to keep us on that preferred route whenever possible. So you will notice that it's keeping you can kind of see there, it's just off that preferred route. I'll just try and zoom in so you can see that there. So it will take you sometimes, maybe not the most direct route, but it will take you the safest route. Okay, and if everything's good, you can just say keep, and that will allow you to save the route. So we can just go in, you can name the route, but if you just hit save, it'll bring you to the same screen. So I'm gonna do, this is on Lake Simcoe, and I'm gonna do 5 foot just because I wanna show you something going forward here. Okay, so now that route turns black and it's saved in the memory, comes up here. What I wanna do now is just show you where you go for the boat settings. So you go to your main menu, you go settings, you go chart, and you see boat settings here, select that. I'm gonna change the draft. I'm gonna go down to 3 feet and just show you how it calculates a route at 3 feet. So we'll just do the exact same thing we just did here, or very close anyway. I'm gonna leave that route on the screen. Gonna zoom in. Oops, gonna hit, just wanna click off that route, hit new route, put our start point in, put our end point in, and we'll go Dock AutoRouting, entire route. It'll run through again this and just see how it creates a route maybe differently this time based on a 3 foot draft rather than a 5 foot draft. Okay, again, a little over a minute to calculate. And there you can see it actually brings you a very different, very different path. You know, so the draft is very important when you enter that in, obviously, but more so when you see the type of water it'll bring you through. You know, this is a very shallow area, and while it's just sand, it's safe. You know, local knowledge will tell you that. But if you didn't know, you definitely would get freaked out because you see the bottom in there and it looks a lot shallower than it is. So keep in mind when you're doing this, just to select an appropriate draft, probably a couple feet deeper than you would think if you're on unfamiliar waters. So I'm going to save this route as well, and we're going to call it Simco 3, so it's a 3 foot, and then that'll go black as well. Now a couple things, obviously if you have a lot of routes on your screen, it's going to clutter that up. If you go into your routes here, we can select the route, and then you can turn it to display on or off. Hit save. And then that route now just turned off. So now I only have that one on the outer passage rather than the inner. Okay, and when you're on this screen, what you can do is just tap it. Actually want to try and get off. If you can get onto just the route rather than on one of the circles, it'll come up Simco 5. So you can tap that, bring you right in here. You can see your waypoints, distances to waypoint, and you can also turn it off right there. Okay, so I've gone ahead and created a new route through some areas that have some obstructions. So I've got a bridge here, I've got an overhead cable here, and you'll notice in the route it's no longer green. We also have red, which is danger. There's obviously a problem. And then these exclamation points here, we can just click on those, and then it'll tell you, what's going on, why there's that caution there. So in that case, you see up in the top left screen, overhead cables, check chart. So we can then refer to the chart, see it's a 42-foot clearance, so we're fine there. And this bridge here, I'm going to show you something else now too. This bridge is at 25 feet. I'm going to set our height to more than 25 feet. I'm going to set it to 30 feet just to see what happens, to see if it will not allow us to pass. Well, it says it was successful, so let's see what happens here. I'm going to zoom in on that bridge. So it does give us a warning, and it does say danger, but it doesn't. It does still allow us to pass through. So that could be pretty dangerous when you're dealing with bridges like that. Okay, so what I want to demonstrate here is your route selection. I've just done our starting point in the bottom of this river here. We're going to come up through it, get to the main lake, and then out of the bay into the main portion of the lake. So if we kind of feel comfortable once we get out, but we're not too sure, how to get out of the river, or in your back bays, coves, whatever it might be, what you can do is go dock to dock AutoRouting, and then you're going to route your selection. So what we can do here is hit selection, tap on the circles of the portion of the route we want to auto route, and now it'll auto route this, but it'll just leave this as a straight line. Okay, so that was successful. So now we have a route to get us out of the river to the main lake from our marina, and no issues with that. That looks pretty good. Obviously we've got some cautions, but it did the route no problem. Now we can get out to the main lake. So if you get the route done and you're not happy with something in it, what we can do is actually tap one of the circles, hit move, and then pull that wherever you'd like, and then just hit finish move. Same thing if you want to get the route out a little bit further, or come in closer to shore, whatever it might be, you can move that around, no problem. The only thing is you just have to tap the circles. If you tap the main part of the route, it doesn't even give you the option. So it's graded out. But if I tap on a circle, I now have that option to move it. It brings it up in red, and then we can move it. The other thing you'll notice too is there's the gray color here. You'll notice your circles are all gray. Those are ones you've moved, just for your reference. Now, if you picked your 2 points and you've got that done, but you forgot to enter a point or something like that, easiest way to get rid of it is just remove last. So now that removes this point, it keeps your first one, and then you can put another destination in like that, and then put in your final destination there. So now we've got these 3 points. So we'll see when it does it, if it calculates a route up here first and then over. Okay, and unfortunately it doesn't. So it'll just route you to the end point, doesn't take into consideration that point up there. Really what you'd have to do is move the points, and then that could get kind of tricky just based on how many points you're going to have in between. You'd basically have to move every point individually to do that. Okay, for this feature to work, you do need a Navionics Plus card that's registered, and not only just registered, but also has an active update available. I tried to do this dock to dock with a card that I updated about 2 months ago, and it would not calculate the route. Basically just got to the point where we could select entire route, would not go further. As soon as I updated the card, it did work. So keep in mind that's $99 a year for this feature to work with your Navionics Plus card. That's really the only kind of downside to it, is a feature you're gonna have to pay for if you wanna use it.